Proof of vaccination regulations go into effect in D.C. this weekend. When the rule kicks in Saturday, indoor diners have to show proof of at least one shot. Then by February 15th, cards must show proof of a full vaccination. Now, this mandate also applies to gyms, concert, movies, and more. Some businesses, by the way, already require proof of vaccination, and some localities are also thinking about doing the same as D.C., like Montgomery County, Maryland. There's no vaccination rule in place right now, but county leaders are considering one.
Good morning, and there are many of them. I checked across the DMV, and Stomping Ground here in Alexandria is a perfect example of a restaurant that just reopened their indoor dining. So from now on, anyone 12 years and older will need to show a vaccination card before stepping foot inside. And it's a big change coming to every DC restaurant and gym starting this weekend.
As the contagious Omicron variant continues to spread, many local businesses are once again forced to pivot to keep their doors open, this time by requiring vaccination cards. According to the Neighborhood Restaurant Group, which manages nearly 20 restaurants in Northern Virginia, proof of vaccination is now required for all indoor dining. And many restaurants, including Rustico in Alexandria, saying all team members will now be vaccinated and continue to wear masks at all times.
The places that will require a vaccine are restaurants, bars, and nightclubs, indoor cultural and entertainment facilities, indoor exercise and recreational establishments, and indoor event and meeting establishments.
And it's a trend we're seeing across the DMV. In the district, businesses will now be required to check vaccination cards beginning this Saturday. The mandate impacting every restaurant, bar, and gym across Washington, D.C. as COVID cases continue to climb. And while some businesses are not happy with the mandate, others say they already have a similar rule in place.
I applaud her for finally doing it. I just wish that she had done it sooner.
Now, I've also heard from business owners who say they're frustrated that in Maryland, D.C., and Virginia, they all have slightly different COVID guidelines. They say that leads to some confusion with customers. So in the short term, guys, they're just asking for support and patience as we all continue to navigate this difficult season together. Guys.
It is that.
Beginning Saturday, proof of vaccination will be required not just here at Capital One Arena, but at all restaurants, gyms, movie theaters, and concert venues in the district. You'll have to show both your Vax card and a matching photo ID. But if you don't want to bother with carrying around your card or a picture of your card and pulling out your wallet, well, there's an app for that.
Clear Health Pass will be the fastest, most efficient way to get into the building.
Jordan Silberman, general manager of Capital One Arena, tells News 4 nearly 60,000 people have already downloaded the Clear Health app for use at Cap One Arena, which has required vaccines for several concerts and starting Saturday will require proof of vaccine for all events.
People understand that this is what it takes to come inside right now. Like this is kind of life in the middle of a pandemic, and it's becoming kind of second nature to people.
There are several apps for storing your proof of vaccination. Here's how the Clear app works. You simply download the app to your phone, upload your photo, your ID, and your Vax card. Then enter your vaccination information, and you're ready to pick a venue. Silberman tells News 4 they haven't seen any resistance from fans who've already had to show proof of vaccine for concerts.
I think if anything, this will probably help our attendance even more. I think there's still a collection of people out there that were waiting for something like this from the mayor to come back out.
There are other COVID protocols in place here at Capital One. Of course, masks, no large bags, and no cash is accepted. But they do have a reverse ATM that converts cash into a debit card.
Hey, Mark,
a couple more things you need to know about these Go ahead.
You broke the news this morning that the Department of Health has authorized hospitals to implement what's known as crisis standards of care as part of the mayor's health emergency for the city. Explain for us, if you will, what that means for hospital staff and patients.
Yeah, so this is not the first time during the pandemic that we've done this. The mayor declared a health emergency back in 2020, and they did allow for crisis standards of care then. And right now, no hospitals have actually implemented it this time around. But what it does allow is for flexibility in staffing. For instance, it allows them to bypass staff to patient ratios that are in place. It allows some professionals to do things that they may not be licensed for. Nurses would be able to sit in on procedures that they might not be in their specialty. It would also allow them to divert patients from the emergency room. Right now, there are laws in place at many hospitals. If you show up at an emergency room, by law, they have to see you, they have to treat you, even if you're just showing up for a COVID test. This would allow them to divert people, to triage patients in the ER, and to give care based on those triage priorities, not on a first-come, first-served basis. It's important to note again that none of these have been put into effect by any of the hospitals yet. They are actually waiting for a second administrative order that I'm told could come as early as today from the Department of Health that would give them a waiver of liability from malpractice lawsuits before they implement the crisis standards of care. That's the very latest here in the district. Pat, back to you.
All right, Mark Seagraves. Thank you, Mark.
Well, the district will soon enforce a vaccine mandate for many businesses, but today, several restaurants decided to get a jump start. They've implemented their own vaccine requirement. But as News 4's Amy Cho shows us, there were some bumps along the way.
This new year, things will look different when you go out to eat in D.C. Vaccine requirements for indoor dining. The citywide mandate goes into effect mid-January, but some restaurants chose to start New Year's Day.
We just want to make sure that everyone's safe, when it comes to our staff, our guests.
Damari Bates is the manager at Blue Jacket in Navy Yard. He says in just a few hours, they already had 2 angry customers who didn't want to show vaccine cards. He worries it's a trend that'll continue.
I'm sure that we're going to have more guests coming in that are disgruntled and have a rude approach.
They're not the only ones who are concerned. We also talked to the owner of the Knightsbridge Restaurant Group. He had a plea for the public.
When the restaurant staff ask you for identification of a proof of vaccination, just be cooperative. They're trying to do their job and keep you and our own employees safe.
Several diners we talked to say they're glad to see the mandate.
It lets us know that the people around us are vaccinated and probably increases safety for us and everyone around us.
It makes me feel better. I think that if you're going to be in an indoor space with other people laughing and drinking, it only makes sense, so I have no problem with it.
Throughout D.C., the mandate will also apply for nightclubs, entertainment, and gyms. People ages 12 and up will have to get at least 1 shot by January 15th, and the second shot by February 15th.
Now, there are some places in D.C. where the mandate will not apply, like grocery stores, big box stores, and houses of worship. Nearby in Montgomery County, they say they are also considering a vaccine mandate as we look ahead to 2022. Amy Cho, News 4.
And according to D.C. guidelines, you can show your vaccine card, a picture on your phone, or use a vaccine app.
Businesses are very happy to see this mandate eventually go into effect. You can include Chiquette and Slate Wine Bar in Glover Park among them.
I think it was an appropriate step from the mayor. Protects us, and I think she did it methodically.
Chef Deniato says it takes pressure off businesses who may have to deal with customers who disagree with vaccine mandates. Chiquette can now simply say the rule is the government's decision.
It's a simple choice towards the guest.
The Dirty Goose off U Street has asked customers for vaccine cards since July. They say they haven't run into any major problems because of it.
Everyone feels really safe here. In the beginning, we had the issue of not everyone having their cards on them or proof of vaccination, so that proved to be a little bit of a challenge, but over the months, everyone's kind of gotten it together.
Few gym goers have complained since Vita Fitness started asking for proof of vaccination in August, too. Its president says he's happy other businesses will now follow suit.
It absolutely vindicates and supports our position all along. Our position all along is get vaccinated.
Still, he said setting up their verification system was a process.
So we had to find a HIPAA-compliant partner. We use CrowdPass, and we had to work with our software provider so that when someone checks into the gym, we can verify their vaccination status.
Either way, Ieto says his staff's ready to enforce the mandate.
For the safety of everybody, it's the right thing to do.
John Henry, WUSA 9.
Washington, D.C. is ramping up on COVID-19 restrictions in an effort to control the record-setting daily number of coronavirus cases. Mayor Muriel Bowser announced yesterday that starting mid-January, people 12 and older will be required to show proof of vaccination to eat at indoor venues, such as restaurants, bars, and gyms, and to enter them. And Mayor Bowser joins us now. Madam Mayor, it's good to have you on the show. This variant is highly transmissible. I have yet to ask a doctor if masking even works with this variant. It seems so transmissible. But tell us about the mandate effort in Washington, D.C., and how are the numbers so far with Omicron?
Well, Mika, we've had last week, we saw numbers that we haven't seen in terms of cases throughout our response to the pandemic. But good news, we also saw numbers in our hospitalizations actually better than they were last month. So we continue to focus on more D.C. residents being vaccinated and boosted as their first line of defense, wearing a mask indoors, but also in high gathering places where we know the virus transmits easily. We are going to begin requiring a vaccination to enter for patrons starting January 15th.
Okay, Jonathan Lemire.
Yeah, Jonathan Lemire is here. Wanted to ask you just a little more about that vaccination requirement. We're certainly seeing more and more cities across the country adopt similar measures. You said starting January 15th. My first question is why wait that long? Why not have it sooner with Omicron ripping through the city right now? But then secondly, why also just one shot required? Why not make it need to have at least the two, if not the booster, to be considered vaccinated to go into these places, considering we see that Omicron seems to be around being able to get around having just one or two shots?
Well, we are certainly wanting to do it as soon as possible. We want our businesses to be able to have in place what they need to enforce it, but also give our residents the opportunity to be compliant as well. We do want more people. We're about 67% fully vaccinated in D.C. We know we can do better with that number. Our senior residents have answered the call and are over 90% vaccinated. And we also see our early numbers demonstrate that the people who are getting Omicron right now are largely in the 24 to 35 age group, which bodes well for our hospitalizations. But we know a lot of our residents are going to be impacted. And these are residents that are going to restaurants and bars and nightclubs. And we want them to wear their mask for sure, but also be vaccinated.
Mayor Bowser, I'd like to jump to another topic. Yesterday, we had New York City Mayor, outgoing Mayor Bill de Blasio on. We were talking a lot about his efforts to make sure that every homeless person has shelter. In Washington, D.C., there is a similar problem. It's a nationwide problem. There's a lot of people living in tents and who are not in real shelters. What are you doing to deal with that problem? Is there an effort to get everybody off the street and out of tents?
Absolutely, Mika. We actually started about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago now, a pilot program, the CARE pilot program, where our outreach workers are reaching out to residents in homeless encampments and offering them housing, walking them through the process from the moment we engage with them to their housing opportunity. We've had 2 successful outreach efforts, and we have been able to dismantle these encampment areas that proved deadly in some cases for our unhoused residents, but also very detrimental to the neighborhoods that surround them. So we're going to continue with that pilot in the next months. We are a city that is a right to shelter city, and also a city where encampments and living in tents violates our rules in most public places. So that is our effort. We're showing early success, and we're going to continue to do that.
Is there more that needs to be done to make the housing? I mean, there's maybe a reason why some of the homeless population in Washington, D.C. is not going to the shelters that are available to them. Is there more that can be done so that people who find themselves homeless seek shelter?
COVID has not left this issue untouched, I must say. And so during this whole process, while we haven't seen outbreaks in our homeless shelters, we have had to institute more protocols to keep our homeless shelters safe. And we have seen during this period of COVID and these enhanced protocols in our shelters, more people living in tents. The American Rescue Plan did provide cities like ours relief that is going to allow us to house our more vulnerable homeless residents. So it is, we do see as we get over these surges of COVID, some of our systems can go to more normal operations. Our shelter facilities will become more available. We're actually building new shelter this early spring. We're going to open a brand new shelter for men that we know that more people will want to go to in their emergency situation, get themselves settled, and get back to a productive life.
Okay, we'll love to get updates on this. Please come back. Mayor Muriel Bowser, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Enjoy the holiday. And
hey, thanks so much for watching.
7:37 this morning, there's a new vaccine mandate in effect for the district. As of about 90 minutes ago, many D.C. businesses are now required to ask you for proof of vaccination and deny you entry if you don't have it. WC9's Katie Kairos is live at a restaurant in Northwest D.C. Katie, good morning. Any customers surprised and kind of caught off guard by this mandate so far?
Good morning, Marcella. You know, all the customers that have arrived so far have shown their vaccination cards and they're already seated and having coffee this morning. But if you are just about to head out, don't forget your card. You're going to need it at any restaurant, any bar, gym, or concert venue starting from today on. So make sure you have that. And I'm here with Roberto, who's the operating partner here at Silver. And Roberto, tell me about, so anyone coming in is going to have to show their ID and their vaccination card. How is it going to be different when they walk in the door?
Well, when they walk into the door, right now we have a manager dedicated of asking the vaccination card and ID. We also have an extra staff to be standing at the door to make sure, you know, to make this easier for our guests. But that's one of the, and also we're going to be calling our guests and let them know that on the reservations, to let them know, like, please don't forget your vaccination card, don't forget your ID to make sure to come into the restaurant.
Oh, that's a great reminder. And of course, you have a lot of other safety precautions that are in effect, that have been in effect at Silver. And of course, we need them now more than ever, it turns out, this winter. But tell me about, what are some of the changes in safety precautions here?
From the beginning, when the pandemic started, we installed a hospital-grade 3-level purification system to keep our associates and our guests safe. And besides that, we actually have a patio with we have a tent, and we have plexiglass, and we have heaters for the to accommodate our guests if they want to sit outside as well. And to prepare them for this winter, you know, we actually accommodate the patio even better to kind of not enclose it all the way, but to have an airflow coming through, so that way all our guests feel more safe in the restaurant.
Wonderful. Roberto, thank you so much for telling us about that. And so don't forget your vaccination card if you're heading out this morning. And if you are getting breakfast somewhere and they do not check vaccination cards in the restaurants, DC officials ask that you call 311 and tell about what you've seen and report any place that's not checking vaccination cards. Live in Northwest Washington, Katie Kairos, WUSA 9.
All right, great information. We will continue to adapt. Katie, thank you so much. Well, so with DC's COVID vaccine mandate now in effect, that means you need proof of vaccination to get into most indoor places. But what do you do if you've lost your vaccine card? Evan Kosloff is here to verify.
January 15th has been circled on the calendar for a while. That's when proof of vaccination will be needed if you plan to go to a restaurant, a movie theater, a gym, or a concert venue. But what if you lost your vaccine card? Let's verify. Where can you get a copy of your COVID-19 vaccination records? Our source for this one is the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The agency says that there's no national organization that maintains vaccination records, and the CDC doesn't have them either. So the CDC says that if you lose your card and you need your vaccine records, you have two options. Contact the facility that administered the vaccine, or reach out to your local or state immunization information program. So let's break those down. In DC, that's the district's immunization registry system. For Maryland, contact Maryland MUNet. And in Virginia, you can get your vaccination records from the Commonwealth's Immunization Information System.
Good morning, Marcella. Yeah, we're here at Silver in Cathedral Heights. And if you are coming out to get brunch this morning, you're going to need to bring your vaccination card with you. It will be checked at any restaurant, any bar, any gym in DC, and any concert venue starting today. And we're here with Roberto Montari, who is the operating partner at Silver Restaurants. Roberto, when you first heard this order come down from the mayor's office in December to get ready for this day in January, what was your reaction?
Well, you know, we're very supportive with the mayor's decision to keep everyone safe. However, you know, this put a little bit of strain on our people, you know, even though now we even short staff. So, you know, we have to add another person at the door and, you know, just put a little strain on our staffing right now. So.
And how are you going to be handling that now that everyone has to show their ID and their vaccination card? Even teenagers need to show their vaccination card. What's going to be the change with staffing? Who will be checking the cards?
Well, we're adding an extra person at the door, and we also have a manager at the door talking to the guests and guide them through these guidelines to make sure, like, you know, everybody's in compliance when they come into the door. We also, you know, that we have a patio that we're going to be able to put them in the patio so that we have heaters and we have a tent. So we have options for our guests, you know, they want to come dining in the restaurant.
And do you have any concern just about customers learning about the change? Do you think anyone is going to be frustrated by it?
I'm sure some people are going to be frustrated, but we're going to guide them through it, you know, to make it easier. But it's just, I think it's all over the news right now. Everybody knows about it. And but we're still going to, you know, guide them through it, you know, to our guests.
Okay. And Silver also has a number of new things in effect to keep you safe this winter. We're going to talk about the new precautions they're taking with the Omicron variant. We'll have that for you at 7:30. Live in Northwest Washington, Katie Kairos, WUSA 9.
All right, lots of changes to keep up with. Katie, thank you.